And what we're seeing here is we're seeing a continuous, systematic approach to keep material moving in at all times. And we've really only made one pass across the attic, right, Jay? Right. Jason's doing a very nice job of getting this material out over the top plate. And we can't stress that enough. There's just an enormous amount of energy loss that takes place at the top plate. And you can see Jason's knee right there. He's using the crotch of these webs to hold himself up. And it's a very safe place to find a place to kneel or to find some footing. And as you can see, everybody, when using this method, the majority of the entire area of insulation will go undisturbed. And again, I'm rolling off slack so Jason doesn't have to fight against the weight of the roll. And when you're cutting material, or really anytime you're up here, always make sure you're on good footing. If you notice, I keep returning to our main workstation. Anytime you can come back to your workstation and keep yourself safe and sound, it's a great idea. And again, we're going to use our tools to get material to each other. And I'm just going to double check my length with my colleague up here. How was the length on that, Jay?
I would go, the length's good, don't go any shorter.
Okay, no shorter. Now, one thing I'd like to talk to you guys about real quick, we did mention that we overlap everything. Now, that doesn't mean we overlap everything by a foot. That would be way more overlap than we need. So, I know that we typically strive for about a 2 to 4 inch overlap. Wouldn't you say that's about right? All right. Okay, now as Jason's placing this material, I'd like to just cover a little bit of brief safety information with everybody. There's a couple things everybody should be aware of that are going to be consistently found in almost every attic. If we can get a shot of this right here, this is what's called a gusset. And these gussets are what they use to hold all these framing members together. Okay, now anytime there's a gusset up here, you're also going to find gussets down here. Can you see that okay? Okay, now this is why I want you guys to know that they're there. You can see that's obviously got a very sharp corner on it. There's teeth sticking out of the back of these. And more often than not, guys, these gussets are typically longer than the framing that they're attached to, and they're very dangerous. So we encourage everybody to know that they're there, wear appropriate attire to protect yourself from it, and most importantly, just be aware that they're there and stay away from them. Other than that, clearly we've got some nails coming through our roof sheeting. And sometimes we do wear hard hats when we're in some other small, tighter areas to protect our heads. And you never would want to stand up into a nail. So just be aware of those things, everybody.
It can get a little hot, so it's very important to hydrate.
Now, what you can see here is a bulkhead manifold. This is where all of our air duct supply is teeing off and going to all our different supplies. So clearly we've got a little bit of an elevation change, and this is something that we are going to cover. And this is an area where we may need to use a little bit of tape and just a couple other techniques. So I'm going to make sure to keep myself on the other side of this bulkhead so I can help Jason get material through this other side. And I wanted to show you guys a couple interesting things. As you can see, I've got a duct here, a duct here, a duct here, a duct here. I've got this bulkhead. So I've got kind of a tricky area to work in. So a couple things. Number one, I'm using an extra roll, an extra 4-foot roll, and I've got it wedged between these webs, and it's given me a good station from which to access this area. Secondly, you can see we've got some electrical wiring, and we're approaching the kitchen area, which is about right where I'm at. So as we get into this area, we're going to have to be aware of those can lights that we found in our walkthrough, and we're going to have to make sure that everything we step on is solid wood framing and nothing else that might feel like a can or anything like that. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to slide my roll out here and I'm going to feed Jason the open end so he can grab onto it with his pole. All right, very good. That looks great. It may be hard to see on camera, but Jason's done a great job of applying our insulation over the top plate. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to go too far and block any of the passive intake soffit vents. So Jason's done a great job of stopping right where he needed to. Okay, what we're looking at here, everybody, is this is called an attic baffle, and this is connecting your passive soffit intake ventilation to your dead airspace in your attic chamber. Now occasionally these baffles will be found laying in the insulation. There's just some staples holding it up. Always make sure we go underneath the baffle just like that. As I'm working my way to the bulkhead, what I did is, just like we would have worked a 2-foot piece in between, I started my 2-foot piece and we're just going to continue that up and on top of the bulkhead. And then I'm even going to take another piece and go perpendicular and cover each side of the bulkhead, and we'll do a little bit of taping here. And you can see you can use your pole to retrieve material and bring it to you. Is that long enough to cover that bulkhead, Jay?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, everybody, now we're over the dining room where we found the elevation change on our initial walkthrough. As you can see, we've got a little bit of a knee wall, and that's covered and protected by some pink batting insulation. That's how we know that elevation change is here, and clearly we can see the rise to the top of the insulation. It'd be very difficult for any one person's body to get out over this structure, so what we're going to go ahead and do is use our long pole, and we're going to work with our tools to cover as much of this as we can safely and effectively. And as you can see, it's the same principle. I'm just taking the slack off the roll so I don't have to fight the weight of the roll. I knew that wire was there, but it's very, very important that you never guess what you're cutting through, because it would be very easy to cut a wire occasionally. So always be aware of any wires that are present. So we're just going to go ahead and tuck this piece into place as best we can. And then we want to go ahead and drape it over the knee wall as much as we can as well. It's also very important that installers watch behind them for anybody that might be in the attic with them, behind them, so we don't hit each other with our tools and our poles. Okay, we're going to do the same thing up the other side, and then we're going to go ahead and piece in some 2-foot pieces in any areas that we weren't able to cover with 4-foot pieces. And again, we're just taking slack off the roll. And in these situations, it can be very helpful to fold over about 1 foot of material over your tool, and then you can use that to push a little bit harder and a little bit more aggressively. And when you get your material close to in place, you just go ahead and push your extra slack out. Okay, and what we're going to do now is we're just going to use some 2-foot pieces, and we're going to go ahead and fill in any areas that we couldn't get any larger material in. And we're just going to do our best to cover as much as possible. It's fairly common to find some strange compartments and situations in attics, and we just need to do our best job possible and cover as much area as possible while also staying safe and not causing any damage to the home. This isn't a very big room, so although it can be overwhelming when you initially inspect an area like this, you just have to understand it can be very doable. You just need to be systematic and take a smart approach. We want everybody to be making nice, clean cuts around all the trusses and around all the framing members. We don't want anything overcut, just nice and tight around all the framing members, and just take your time and do a good job. I'm going to roll this piece back up because we're getting into the area over the kitchen with the can lights where we're going to need to do some foaming. Because this is an area where, due to this elevation change, this would be one of the few areas where we would use some tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snug that up. We're going to make a little relief cut right here. Allow that material to lay nice and tight up against everything. It can be very helpful to just roll some tape off, because it's very sticky and it can be very difficult to start the roll. So we're going to just roll that off, and then I'm going to fold this back over just like that so that I've got a tab. Go ahead and pull that right back off. Just nice and easy, just like that. Okay. So I'm just going to cut off little pieces as I need them here. And we're just going to use a couple straps to hold this material in place. There's not going to be a whole lot up here to disturb this, so you don't need to go crazy, just enough to make sure that it stays in place for a long period of time.
Okay, we're all finished with the installation. It was kind of hot up there.
A little warm.
A little warm, but the solar fan did help to cool you off a little bit, right?
It did help quite a bit, yep. I would say all in all, it's a successful day. This was a very busy attic, and it was a really good opportunity for us to show you a lot of different things. I hope you guys all find it helpful. It helps to have really good help. Jason, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Oh yeah, just be safe, take your time, do a good job, and you're going to see great results out of the products.
You bet.
I know the customer is really excited, really thrilled about what we've done, and I feel real proud to be part of this team, and I'm proud to work with these great installers, and we'd like all of you out there watching this video to try to learn from this video and try to emulate what you've learned. That's the key to our future success, is high quality installations. The product will sell itself, the results will sell itself. So let's maintain that high quality installation process. Let's leave the customer's house clean. Actually, Eric's opinion is let's leave the house cleaner than we got there. I'm sure that you share that sentiment, Jason.
Yep.
All right, so again, thanks so much for watching the video.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Thank you.